Welcome to this episode of the weekly News Roundup. We move now to Vietnam, and Vietnam has mobilized more than 1 lakh military personnel to help 250,000 people evacuate as intensifying typhoon Boaloi hit the country, forcing the government to shut down several airports. Boaloi, the 10th typhoon to affect Vietnam this year, is generating winds of over 130 kilometers an hour, according to the meteorology agency. According to the agency, this is a rapidly moving storm, nearly twice the average speed, with strong intensity and a broad area of impact. It is capable of triggering multiple natural disasters simultaneously, including powerful winds, heavy rainfall, flooding, flash floods, landslides, and coastal inundation. Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh has also called for the highest level of readiness as Boaloi entered the country's waters, according to the government daily, Vietnam News. He has instructed local authorities and sectors to take urgent measures to support affected residents and mitigate the aftermath of the typhoon. We bring you this report.
Vietnam News reported that 3 fishermen from Ho Chi Minh have gone missing after one vessel sank and another was disabled by large waves off the coast of Vietnam. 8 others were rescued. In Da Nang, the country's largest city, state media reported that the government is evacuating more than 210,000 residents, while more than 32,000 people living near coastal areas are also set to be moved to safer areas. Authorities added that more than 15,000 residents in Ha Tin, known as a key steel production hub, have been slated for evacuation to schools and medical centers converted into temporary shelters. According to reports, 4 domestic airports were shut and all fishing boats in the typhoon's path have been called back to harbour. Residents in coastal areas were also ordered to secure their vessels. Many residents said they feel very anxious but were still hopeful that everything would be fine since they were all safe after the recent Typhoon Kajiki. They said they were hoping that this typhoon too would be the same or less severe. The National Center for Hydrometeorological Forecasting predicted the typhoon would make landfall during high tide. Combined with storm surge and large waves, this could cause collapse and erosion of sea dikes and flooding in low-lying coastal residential areas. The typhoon was to bring heavy rain to northern and north-central Vietnam, including parts of Laos, especially from Tan Hoa to Ha Tin, with total rainfall estimated between 200 to 400 millimeters and some areas exceeding 600 millimeters. Prime Minister Chinh required provinces and cities to review and recall fishing vessels still at sea to move out of danger zones or seek safe shelter. He also asked authorities to immediately reinforce dikes and reservoirs, especially vulnerable ones, and proactively regulate reservoirs to be ready to receive floodwaters. In Vietnam, more than 100 people were killed or went missing due to natural disasters in the first 7 months of 2025, according to the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development. In September 2024, Vietnam suffered $3.3 billion in economic losses as a result of Typhoon Yagi, which swept across the country's north and caused hundreds of deaths. Pope Leo, in his weekly broadcast, singled out the region for its typhoons. In his noonday Angelus prayer, Pope Leo addressed the faithful gathered in St. Peter's Square. His thoughts turned in particular to Asia, where he said, "A very powerful typhoon has struck several regions, in particular the Philippines, the island of Taiwan, the city of Hong Kong, the Guangdong region, and Vietnam."
In questi giorni un tifone di eccezionale forza si è abbattuto su diversi territori asiatici, in particolare le Filippine, l'isola di Taiwan, la città di Hong Kong, la regione di Guangdong e Vietnam. Sono vicino alle popolazioni colpite, specialmente le più povere, e prego per le vittime, i dispersi, le numerose famiglie sfollate, le moltissime persone che hanno subito disagi e anche per i soccorritori e le autorità civili.
We move now to the subcontinent's favorite game, cricket. And the just concluded Asia Cup 2025 promised tension. Yet, the final sank to an unprecedented low when India, the victors, were denied the trophy. Celebrations continued in an empty stadium, but the episode showed how egos and off-field drama can overshadow the game. The 17th edition of the Continental Tournament was full of firsts. For the first time, India and Pakistan met in the final of the 4-decade-old Asia Cup. For the first time, captains snubbed handshakes at the toss. And for the first time, the winning team celebrated without a trophy on the night of the final. On a characteristically abrasive surface, Pakistan's batsmen did themselves in by imploding after a bright beginning. Having raced to 113 for 1, Salman Agha's men lost their last 9 wickets for just 33 runs. Meanwhile, the Indian team has lodged an official complaint with the Indian Cricket Council against Pakistan cricketers Haris Rauf and Sahibzada Farhan for allegedly making provocative gestures during the encounter between the two sides in the Super 4 stage of the Asia Cup in Dubai. Rauf had made gestures to depict the bringing down of a plane to mock India's military action during Operation Sindoor. And the final in Dubai, Devajit Saikia, the Board of Control for Cricket in India Secretary, has condemned the act of the Asian Cricket Council Chairman Mohsin Naqvi taking the Asia Cup trophy along with him from the dais after India declined to accept it from him. We bring you this report.
Spin reigned supreme in the Asia Cup final at a packed Dubai International Cricket Stadium. The Indian trio of Kuldeep Yadav, Varun Chakravarti and Aksar Patel shared 8 wickets to help India bundle out Pakistan for 146 in 19.1 overs. On a characteristically abrasive surface, Pakistan's batsmen did themselves in by imploding after a bright beginning. Having raced to 113 for 1, Salman Agha's men lost their last 9 wickets for just 33 runs. While Kuldeep finished with figures of 4 overs with 4 wickets for 30 runs, Varun and Aksar scalped 2 each. For Pakistan, openers Sahibzada Farhan with 57 runs and Fakhar Zaman with 46 runs were the stars. Shivam Dube had to step in with the new ball in the power play. He performed a prudent job in the circumstances by conceding just 12 runs in his first 2 overs. It was in Jasprit Bumrah's 2 overs that Pakistan really got into the groove. The 4s and 6s were flowing when captain Suryakumar Yadav opted for spin in the 5th over. That was when Varun struck by scalping Farhan. India outclassed Pakistan for the 3rd time in the tournament, and the 3rd came in the big final at the Dubai International Stadium. Suryakumar Yadav walked the talk after boldly declaring before the match that the much-hyped India-Pakistan rivalry now existed only in newspaper headlines, not on the field. A statement underlining the gulf between the two powerhouses of Asian cricket. The game was intense and the Pakistanis were going good at the beginning. Pakistan were threatening to post 180 plus before they imploded against India's spin trio of Varun Chakravarti, Kuldeep Yadav and Aksar Patel. The collapse was very dramatic since they were cruising at 113 for 1 in the 13th over. In a reply to Pakistan bowler Haris Rauf's controversial plain downing gesture depicting Operation Sindoor, ace pacer Bumrah had this to say while taking Rauf's wicket with a perfect yorker. India beat Pakistan in the final, yet stepped onto the dais with no medals and no trophy. The team didn't care. They hugged, they danced, they celebrated to Bollywood tunes in a stadium that was almost empty by the time the celebrations began. Instead, Indian players turned to AI to Photoshop a trophy into their celebratory photos shared from the dressing room. The champions were denied the trophy because India refused to receive it from Asian Cricket Council chief Mohsin Naqvi, who they felt had not conducted himself courteously in his role. In the end, the trophy and winners' medals vanished to the PCB chief's hotel room. He apparently decided that if he could not hand them over himself, India would not celebrate with them at all. The focus during the tournament was always going to be on India versus Pakistan. India, the reigning world champions, seeking to assert their dominance in Asia, and Pakistan, now outside the elite circle of cricketing powers, desperate to prove themselves the continent's second best, even if the gap to the top was light years.
A new COVID-19 variant is now spreading globally. This variant, first detected in Southeast Asia, is currently predominant in several US states. While the pandemic may feel like an event of the past, COVID-19 continues to evolve and affect many to date. Currently, a new strain of the virus is spiking cases worldwide. The XFG variant, also known as Stratus, which is a part of the Omicron family, has been spreading far and wide after first being detected in Southeast Asia in January, according to the World Health Organization. Stratus evades the immune system better than the previous Nimbus strain. It causes typical COVID-19 symptoms, though often mild for vaccinated individuals. Health experts advise precautions like wearing masks and hand washing to prevent its spread. We bring you this report.
After it spread to 38 countries by June, the WHO designated Stratus as a SARS-CoV-2 variant under monitoring. XFG is a recombinant or hybrid of two existing Omicron strains, LF.7 and LP.8.1.2, according to the WHO. This means XFG has a mixture of genetic material from these two variants, which may make it better able to bind to cells in the body and cause infection. XFG also has several unique mutations in its spike protein, which have been shown to improve the virus's ability to evade COVID-19 antibodies from prior infection or vaccination per the WHO. In the United States particularly, according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, coronavirus cases have been increasing in 9 US states, namely New York, New Jersey, Delaware, Vermont, Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota, and both North and South Dakota. However, Stratus isn't the first strain of the virus. It actually follows Nimbus, a highly infectious strain linked to severe razor blade sore throat symptoms. Stratus has mutated in a way that allows it to evade the immune system and attack it better than Nimbus can, reported the WHO. Thus, for the unvaccinated and previously uninfected, the strain might be harder to fight off. Stratus has most of the normal symptoms of COVID-19, although most cases are mild for vaccinated individuals. These can be fatigue, fever, and a persistent dry cough. Other symptoms of the variant can be shortness of breath, chest tightness, sore or scratchy throat, headaches and body aches, upset stomach, nausea, brain fog, and loss of taste or smell. In cases these symptoms arise, experts recommend seeking medical help for diagnosis and treatment, including antiviral medication, at-home remedies, or over-the-counter drugs. If a high fever or 103 degrees persists for over 3 days, or if symptoms get worse after improving, visit a doctor. It is important not to dismiss these signs.
A Polish adventure skier has made history by becoming the first person to climb up and ski down Mount Everest without the use of additional oxygen. The ascent was Andrei Bargiel's third attempt at climbing Everest, the tallest mountain on Earth, at 8,849 meters high. After dangerous conditions forced the 37-year-old to abandon earlier attempts in 2019 and 2022. More than 6,000 people have climbed the mountain according to the Himalayan database, but only about 200 have done it without additional bottled oxygen. A few people have skied back down, but never a continuous downhill without supplementary oxygen. It took nearly 16 hours for Bargiel to climb through the death zone, which is above 8,000 meters, where oxygen levels are dangerously low. We bring you this report.
At the top of the mountain, the air is so thin that climbers only get about a third of the oxygen available at sea level. This can cause brain damage, fluid in the lungs, and even death. The summit itself was arduous and difficult. I'd never spent so much time at such an altitude in my life, so that was a challenge in itself, Bargiel said. Skiing down Everest without oxygen was a dream that had been growing inside me for years, he added. Bargiel skied down through the Khumbu Icefall, a maze of ice towers and deep crevices known as one of Everest's most dangerous sections, before arriving at base camp. He was guided through this section partly by a drone flown by his brother Bartek. Bargiel's team said in a statement that it was a groundbreaking milestone in the world of ski mountaineering. The Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk celebrated on X, writing, "Sky is the limit, not for Poles. Andrei Bargiel has just skied down Mount Everest." In 2018, Bargiel became the first person to ski down Pakistan's K2, the second highest mountain in the world.
We move now to the Vatican, where Arnold Schwarzenegger came to throw his weight behind Pope Leo's efforts to encourage world leaders to address global climate change and transition away from fossil fuels. Ahead of the Raising Hope for Climate Justice conference in Castel Gandolfo, Arnold Schwarzenegger spoke about the Church's vast reach to 1.4 billion Catholics who have the collective potential to help heal our common home, this earth. The event marks the 10th anniversary of Pope Francis's encyclical Laudato Si, which renewed the Catholic Church's advocacy on care for creation. Ahead of the conference, Arnold Schwarzenegger, former governor of California and actor of the Terminator film franchise, spoke about his drive to unite government and grassroots activism on behalf of the environment. God has put us in this world to leave this world a better place than we inherited it, said the Austrian-born Schwarzenegger, who is a Catholic. The three-day event is tied to the 10th anniversary of the major encyclical Laudato Si by the late Pope Francis, which was the first papal text to embrace the scientific consensus about climate change and urged nations to reduce their carbon emissions. Mr. Schwarzenegger said at a press conference, "God gave me this gift that can communicate the issue. I have the will and I can see it, and I will do everything that I can do to make this world a better place." We bring you this video of the press conference where Mr. Schwarzenegger spoke so passionately about the environment and how we must care for it.
The principles that I talk about in my book be useful are very helpful principles, which is never listen to the naysayers. So there's always people around that will say this is very hard to do, or this is impossible to do. I'm a big believer that anything can be done. You know, if you have a clear vision, and if you have a clear goal, then you can do it. But if you just go for hope, that's not a good strategy. So what you need is just to have a plan. When I was governor in California, we had a plan, which is not to talk about that much about pollution and climate change, but to actually do something about it. And we passed very, very strict laws, where people said, this is going to be very dangerous for the economy. But we passed them anyway. And we reduced our greenhouse gases and our pollution because of that by 25%. The only state in America that did that. But at the same time, we added 1 million solar roofs. And at the same time, we upped the renewables from 19% to 70%. And now there's 100 days a year in California where it's totally 100% renewables. So this is tremendous progress. We did the cap and trade and all of those kind of things. But it was something that was important for us to show at the same time that the economy does not deteriorate because of that. Our economy is booming. We are number one economically, and we have number one the strictest environmental laws together. So you can protect the environment and the economy at the same time. That is the important thing.
Thanks so much for watching this episode. Until we meet next time, stay blessed.